Yo, what is good, everybody? It is your boy, Golden Falls, Golden What Ifs, whatever you want to call me, and I'm back. This is What If Tanjiro Was a Vampire, part 1 of 2. If you enjoy, please show some love. Leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below. Sorry for missing a day. Unfortunately, some things came up, and I legitimately couldn't record. But we're here. We're back with a brand new What If and another Tanjiro What If. And yeah, if you guys enjoy it, please show some love like I always say. Now, with that said, I don't want to waste much more of your time, and I want to get right into it. So let's get it. Now, the beginning of the story goes very, very similar. Tanjiro Kamado is the typical person he always is, and, well, frankly, he does exactly the same things he did in the first place. He would go down to the nearby village to sell some coal or some charcoal, and, well, he would help out, like, as much as he possibly can, and eventually it would lead him into an interesting situation. A situation that he wouldn't be able to truly imagine, in a situation he could never expect. And that situation, well, let's just say it's something out of the ordinary. Because when he actually is going to go up the mountain and it's all dark and he gets basically warned by the old man and he decides, you know what, I'm going to listen. He's probably right. I probably shouldn't go up there. Probably not the best idea. So I'm not going to go up there. And, well, Tanjiro does just that. But the thing is, well, he decides to, you know, stay with the older gentleman. But this right here was a quote-unquote mistake. Because the older gentleman actually is perishing. Slowly but surely perishing. And what Tanjiro doesn't know is the older gentleman is actually a dying vampire. One of the last of his kind. And it seems like this vampire is sitting in dormant, waiting for his life to truly trickle away. And the thing is, there's something about Tanjiro, something of the smell of him that he can tell, he can smell something that is making him question things. He smells so delightful, like he wants to feast on Tanjiro, but that wouldn't necessarily make it so he can live longer. He's already at the end of his days now that he's lived countless hundreds of years, and some things have happened with the demons that has basically made him unable to actually sustain himself and actually able to make himself, you know, live longer like he would normally do. But Tanjiro, he looks at him and he can't help it. When Tanjiro's asleep, he would bite into Tanjiro's neck, in turn creating a vampire out of Tanjiro himself. But the thing is, the kind of bloodline of Tanjiro, the blood that flows within him, makes it so that the demon, or not the demon, excuse me, the vampire would actually burn up to a crisp even faster than normal. And it's weird. It's like he feels the power of the sun burning through him, and he has no idea how this is happening. And Tanjiro realizes before it's like, you know, any time at all, that something just happened, that he's turning into something. He begins to sweat throughout the night. He begins to feel pain, but then that pain would go away. He feels this unsanctionable, whoa, what? Oh my God, I can't talk. I'm sorry about that. He begins to basically feel this insane hunger, and he feels like, oh, I need to feast on something. I need to eat. But then he realizes he's not hungry for regular food. He's hungry for blood. And he can't wrap his head around it. So when he goes out during the night, he decides to, like, find some sort of cattle, and he will feast on its blood. But it doesn't really do what he believed it was going to do. It doesn't really make himself feel fulfilled. He still feels hungry. He feels like he is hurting, like he still needs something else, but he just can't. He can't do anything, and he feels like it was just enough to where he's okay, but he doesn't really necessarily know what else this is, right? He doesn't know necessarily if he can get more cattle blood or whatever. He doesn't know. He has no clue what's going on necessarily. But luckily enough, the sun would be rising very soon, and he believes that his family could help him ASAP with what's going on. He would go over to see that his family would be extinguished, completely gone via a demon. But not only that, Nezuko, his little sister, is on the ground, still breathing faintly enough, But at the same time, he knows that she's something different now. He can sense it. He doesn't know how, but he can smell it in her blood. But at the same time, he feels this urge to feed off her blood as well. He doesn't know why or how or what's going on, but the smell of her is different. It's as if she's no longer a typical human, as if he's attracted to demon blood. That's what it seems like. But obviously Tanjiro doesn't necessarily know that she's a demon. But before you know it, he would learn of this. Luckily, the kind of shading of the sky above them would help Tanjiro stay away from the sun at the moment. But he has no clue that he is going to have the same issue that Nezuko has as well, being extremely vulnerable to the sun. So Tanjiro doesn't realize this, but he's trying to help his sister. His sister's fighting him, doing this, but he's able to keep up, like legitimately keep her off of him pretty easily. And then out of nowhere, Giyu Tomioka would come fight him, right? Come out of nowhere to defeat Nezuko and say, no, your sister's a demon. We need to get rid of her. But Tanjiro's like, no, we can't do that. That's my sister, blah, blah, blah. And Tanjiro would even reveal his slightly sharpened teeth, in which Giyu would be in shock, thinking that he must be a demon as well, that he has to be eliminated too. But Tanjiro tries to talk his way out of it, telling him, no, you don't get it. You don't understand. I'm not a demon. I'm not who you think I am. I'm just a normal person. So is my sister. This would even lead to a little bit of a scrap, and Nezuko would defend Tanjiro, and actually would lead to both of them calming down to the point where nobody's fighting. And immediately Giyu's like, wait, what the hell? Like, why are you not fighting? Why are you not attacking me? And why are you not trying to basically end me? Like, I don't get it. Like, what's going on? In which they tell him, or well, Tanjiro tells him again, like, you gotta listen. I'm not your enemy. Like, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not here to do any of that. Like, I am just here to help my sister. That's all I want, right? I want my sister to be alive. I want my sister to not be whatever she is. I want to keep her safe and blah, blah, blah. And then Giyu realizes that this right here could be something different, something special. And he believes that maybe, just maybe, he should take them into the Butterfly Mansion. But then he thinks, no, I can't do that. If I do that, the chances are that they're just going to immediately shoot this down, maybe even get rid of them, maybe even end them. And that's not what he wants. That's definitely not what he wants. So what should he do? He's like trying to come to some sort of conclusion, but eventually that conclusion would just legitimately be, you know what? I have to take him to Urokodaki, but I need to be there with him at all times. Because if I'm not there, there's a good chance that I could be walking Urokodaki into legitimately his own death, and that's not something he wants to do. So he personally brings Tanjiro and Nezuko during the nighttime to Urokodaki, and even slays demons along the way, whatever, right? Just your normal, typical thing. And Urokodaki and him have a complete conversation, especially about Nezuko and all this stuff. And eventually, it actually is figured out that Nezuko can kind of ease the idea of her wanting human flesh or blood via kind of just sleeping. And also Urokodaki believes that he can kind of put a hypnosis so that she never attacks a human and thinks of them all as family. And on top of that, Tanjiro himself, well, he's a different conversation, right? He's a different version of whatever is going on, because whatever's going on with Tanjiro is something else. It seems as if Tanjiro has powers involving that seem to be very similar to like a demon's, but it's not. Tanjiro's powers are not of demon orientation. It seems as if his powers are actually something different, a different version of it, but not really at the same time. And of course, Urokodaki would even bring up to all of them that it seems more like he is some sort of vampire. And it might sound weird, and it's similar to the demons, but at the same time, Tanjiro may have capabilities that are different, but also may have better control of what he wants. Now, with that said, he brings up the fact that he does need human blood to survive, but Tanjiro brings up the fact that his sister Nezuko has a blood that makes it like where he feels that he can basically take that blood, which is an odd thing, and he's not going to do that. That's his sister, and he wants to keep her safe. But maybe that has a lot to do with demons as well. In which Urokodaki believes that if that's the case, and he's telling the full truth, which he makes it very clear he's not 100% sure if he is telling the truth, but if he is, there might be a sense of basically him taking blood from legitimate demons, and in so would make it so that there would be no fear in kind of fighting, or no fear in terms of Tanjiro needing to feast off of actual human beings. And if that's the case, if he doesn't have to feast off of actual human beings, there's no reason why Tanjiro shouldn't become a demon slayer to a certain extent. And that is a conversation that is had. And after maybe, I would say, a couple months, eventually, Giyu would decide to leave them and believes that Urokodaki is not only capable enough, but safe enough that everything should be okay. And, of course, Tanjiro begins then his training to be a demon slayer. And this training is fruitful, like very fruitful. He learns of his capabilities as a vampire, his ability to even like turn into a bat, right? And do certain things that, you know, vampires would have. We're talking like enhanced physical skills, you know, stuff like that. But of course, he still is pretty vulnerable to the sun, just like a demon would be. So their kind of training involves a lot of stuff at night. And that's really all they do, right? During the nighttime, that's a lot of their training. They're preparing and stuff like that. And eventually, Tanjiro feels more than prepared to kind of truly understand water breathing. And since he doesn't really have he doesn't have to sleep or anything, he kind of trains as much as possible, like throughout the entire night. Yes, he can't really be out during the day, but there are different areas that are fully shaded so that he can train and can prepare. And all of these things are beneficial for Tanjiro when learning to utilize water breathing. And then eventually he is fully prepared for his final selection. And the final selection is a perfect chance for Tanjiro to truly figure out what his capabilities are and what he can truly do as a fighter and as, something overall, just in terms of like actually doing proper damage and stuff like that, right? These are things that he definitely can figure out, and these are things that he can learn and prepare himself for and get better at and up his strength and prepare himself, all the above, right? These are things Tanjiro can do. And of course, all of them will be beneficial, and Tanjiro is then prepared for that final selection. And he kind of keeps things under wraps, right? He doesn't really show his teeth. He doesn't talk to many people. Even Urokodaki kind of gives him a bit of like a cover up for his teeth and stuff like that. But he does feast off of the demons from time to time, and that like basically makes it so his hunger is like gone for a good period of time. Obviously, if he utilizes a ton of strength and all that stuff, then yeah, his hunger, gets pretty bad. Like if he has to just, go full out all the time, no matter what. But during this circumstance, he doesn't have to. Like he is far stronger than a lot of these demons, especially with, the breathing style of water breathing and stuff like that. I mean, it makes it very, very straightforward for him to kind of take them down, stay alive and all that stuff. And he even clears out all the demons, and everybody starts asking him questions like, oh, how did you do that? You're so powerful, you're so strong, you're so capable, whatever, right? All that stuff. A lot of people are like, whoa, like this guy's insane. But at the same time, he's not talking to anybody. He has not said a word. He keeps his mouth shut, and eventually he gets the heck out of there. Yes, does he stop Genya from hurting people and stuff like that? Yeah, that's just how Tanjiro is. But other than that, he just gets out of there because he believes that if he gets caught up and they prove that he's a vampire or like they think he's a demon, that's not good. Especially because at the end of the day, even Urokodaki isn't 100% sure that he's a vampire. Now, he can turn into a bat, like he's shown this, but that doesn't mean that's not just his blood demon art or something along those lines. But that makes him feel a little bit more comfortable. But convincing everybody else that he's not a demon and a vampire and a friendly one at that seems to be like completely out of the ordinary and out of the question. So at the end of the day, what he decides to do is when he goes on these missions, he decides to wait until nighttime to really do anything. But luckily enough, since he could legitimately fly, he kind of is able to utilize this to his advantage. Now, things get a little bit dicey from time to time, but luckily enough, they're able to, figure out a way to travel in some sort of bat form with Nezuko, which is kind of funny when you think about it. It's kind of like this little bat that is super strong, like a little bat. I mean, he's pretty strong for a bat, right? And he kind of just like picking up Nezuko, or like carries Nezuko with her box on like a string or on a rope, and just flies toward the next location. And that is what kind of they do to make up for like the downtime or the time they wouldn't have when trying to like get to location after location. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, if they're only traveling during the night, that is a lot of time they're running out of. So he has to make sure to make up for that time. But luckily enough, his first mission goes pretty smoothly. I mean, the first thing he does is involving like the kidnapper stuff and basically the swamp demon, and taking down the swamp demon, And it's pretty straightforward. Tanjiro faces off with him, and even there's question marks there too, where the swamp demon's like, aren't you both demons? Like, you're supposed to be on my side. What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And Tanjiro tells him, like, for one, he's not a demon. She might be, but she is built to protect humans. Me, on the other hand, I'm not a demon, but you can call me the equivalent of a demon for you being kind of like a human. In which he's confused, like, what the hell does that even mean? What are you talking about? And Tanjiro smiles a little bit to show his like sharp teeth, and immediately the swamp demon's like, oh, what the hell? And would try to basically get away, but Tanjiro would be on him immediately, dashing through, slicing through him, and even basically absorbing the blood, which we know what that means, sucking the blood out of the freaking demon. So yeah, I mean, literally and legitimately destroying and just getting rid of him. And Tanjiro does this, and he's like, whoa, this is different, right? He's done this before, right? Something similar, but this demon, I mean, it feels like he was a little bit stronger than any other demon he's really dealt with. And with the hand demon and all those other demons, he didn't really mess with them, because at the end of the day, he couldn't really give away his cover, so he tried his best to not do too much. But at the same time, when he basically absorbed this demon, he could feel that his power was even stronger, or at least felt stronger. And it seems like it gives him like an opportunity to even utilize maybe even the blood demon art of the demons he absorbs, aka being able to make portals that allow him to travel and traverse a lot easier. And this right here is pretty crazy. Like, Tanjiro realizes this. He doesn't know how to use them just yet, obviously. Like, he just got them, and he can just feel the power of the blood demon art. But at the same time, he's like, whoa, this is ridiculous. Like, this is insane that like I'm able to do this. And he realizes that maybe, just maybe, that he became a vampire for a reason. The whole reason was to shut down all the demons. And well, before you know it, this demon is handled, and yes, there are some casualties, because that's what it is normally. But after that all is said and done, he would leave. He obviously did his best to help out where he could, and then now he would head off to his next location. And obviously that next location would be a face-off with Muzan Kibutsuji, and this is different. Like, this is a totally different thing, because this face-off is something that is really messing with his head. Not because he's fearful of Muzan, not because he's worried about this or worried about that. No, not that at all. But he faces off with Muzan, and Muzan questions, like, what are you? You're not one of mine. I could tell. But I have no connection to you. So are you truly like something completely different? Are you a human? You don't look like one. It looks like, you're a little bit paler and you're a little bit different. Maybe you're just sick. Blah, blah, blah. And he would say these things, and he would be kind of vague about everything he's saying, but he's like, I know you're something, but what are you? And Tanjiro tells him that he's going to be the one that kills him. And it's that simple. In which Muzan's like, okay, kid, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But before you know it, when he would turn basically someone into a demon to try to just, leave normally, Tanjiro would slay that demon very quickly. Muzan would run away, kind of, or at least fast walk away, get away from everything. And Tanjiro would decide, you know what, I'm not going to pursue because I don't want to hurt anybody. But he would realize, like, yeah, this guy He's definitely like something. Like, and Muzan realizes that whatever he is, whatever that kid is, I mean, he is going to be trouble, and he should really get people on that ASAP. But those people he sends, two demons, I mean, it's going to be a rude awakening. But Tanjiro before then does meet up with Lady Tamayao and Yushiro, and they talk about Nezuko and getting her, like cured and stuff like that. But there's even a conversation about basically him being a vampire and about what they could do elsewhere, right? And he has a conversation about saying that, yeah, so he can basically use the blood of different demons and stuff like that. And that's how he gets his blood. And Lady Tamayao hears this and is like, oh, really? Like, that's pretty crazy. And she wonders, like, hey, would you be able to turn me from a demon into a vampire? In which he's like, I have no idea. And I don't know if you would really want that to be the case. Like, do you really believe that's the best choice, right? The best course of action? Like, that could go really bad really fast. In which she's like, I don't know, right? I'm not sure. But at the same time, I do know that things aren't easy, right? Things aren't not easy being a demon. Things are not easy. We have to go through a lot of hurdles and jumps to make sure that we get the blood we need. So the idea that we can feast off of demons and do something good might be beneficial. In which Yushiro's like, I don't know about this. Like, this sounds like a really bad idea. Like, we don't even know if this kid knows how to turn us into vampires, or even if demons can turn into vampires from being demons, separating the connection from Muzan, in which, of course, Tanjiro doesn't know either. But he tells Lady Tamayao that let's keep researching, let's figure it out. And if you really feel this way still, we definitely can consider it. And it might just give us a leg up on, well, Muzan himself. And they all know, or he knows, that they definitely want their revenge to an extent on that absolute piece of trash. In which, of course, she's like, yeah, I definitely do. And I'm going to do anything I possibly can to get that, because I absolutely despise that guy and blah, blah, blah. And after all that is said and done, like a ball would come straight through the house, and Tanjiro would have to react pretty quickly. But even these demons, they're not necessarily going to be a challenge. Tanjiro can foresee everything that basically happens. He outpaces the demons, and with the help of Lady Tamayao and Yushiro, and also Nezuko, it is a easy 4 versus 2. And Tanjiro was able to take out both of the demons with their help. But really, he didn't even need it. Like, he was way faster, way stronger. And at least this is kind of the idea that Muzan now gets information, right? Muzan now gets information on how strong Tanjiro is, and he's kind of scaling him, seeing, okay, like, how strong are you really? Like, are you as strong as these demons? Like, what makes you so powerful? Like, he's trying to figure things out, and really, he wouldn't figure much out after this defeat. But Tanjiro, well, he would kind of speak with Lady Tamayao and Yushiro more and more. Believe that, well, like, he can't really, do much here, so he's just talking to them, figuring things out, blah, blah, blah. And they do, have a good conversation about how to basically cure Nezuko, or the idea of it with the 12 Kizuki and stuff like that. And yeah, their conversation goes pretty well, and he promises to visit them as soon as possible, believing that their information and anything they learn is very, very important, and he wants to learn more about it. In which, of course, they kind of like agree on this, and Tanjiro decides to up and leave, as basically it's still nighttime for a little bit, and then he's gonna try to find shelter, and that's exactly what he does. He flies until it's around nighttime, and then he sees some sort of a mansion, you could say. And this mansion, he's like, yeah, there's definitely demons in there, but yeah, I got to get out of here so I don't, get killed by the sun. So I'm gonna go in there. So he takes Nezuko, and they go in, and let's just say he finds that a former member of the 12 Kizuki is actually in here by the name of Kyogai. And before you know it, I mean, before any of this happens, he does find the little kid that was kidnapped, and he gets rid of all these demons in here as well. Now, Kyogai is a little bit of a harder fight. It's definitely harder than any other fight that he's done so far, but him being, properly prepared, him having enhanced abilities, enhanced strength, and really an enhanced breathing style as well. And by the way, more training because he doesn't have to sleep. So even if he's not physically training and learning more, he can learn via studying and stuff like that and preparing himself. So yes, all that preparation, everything combined makes it so he's far stronger, and just more prepared for a fight with Kyogai. And he takes down Kyogai pretty easily by just kind of overwhelming him with his speed. Even as he kind of changes the room and stuff like that, he would just defeat him and would even, absorb some of his blood. I'm going to keep saying that instead of, the other thing. But he does absorb some of his blood, and he gains like a part of his powers in a way. And Tanjiro even got a chance to actually figure out how to utilize the Swamp Demon's powers, where he's able to basically show up in front of Kyogai before he can react, and bang, he's already out of there, already gone, and he's able to kind of secure the entire mansion by doing this specifically. And the thing that's crazy, the thing that really blows the demon's mind, is that he's watching what looks to be another version of himself, right? Like, one of them is legitimately executing countless numbers of his own quote-unquote kind. Obviously, we know Tanjiro's a vampire, but they don't. They think to an extent that he's a demon. He even has a demon with him. So at the end of the day, they're thinking, this can't be happening. Why are you trying to do this? Like Muzan is going to stop this, right? Like, Muzan is going to stop this, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is if he was connected to Muzan, then of course, Muzan might have been able to do something. But it is not a version of a demon. It is not one of their own kind. It is legitimately a completely different version, right? A completely different version of the character. So, or a different version of like the, creature to an extent. So they can't really do much about it. And they're thinking that this right here is, the demon is thinking like, this can't be happening. This is like insane. Like, what is happening? I can't believe one of our own kind is like, killing us and getting rid of us and blah, blah, blah. And Tanjiro, well, without really any kind of, smiles or anything like that, he gets rid of them swiftly and gets rid of them before you know it. But as he's about to leave, as he's about to kind of gather his things up and prepare himself like for an eventual leave, we actually have, towards the end of the day, it's still being daytime, right? So he's like, I gotta wait a little bit longer. So when he's waiting, someone actually comes up to the mansion. Yes, he let the kid out and stuff like that, so he actually saved the kid. But someone else approaches, a yellow-haired kid by the name of Zenitsu. And Zenitsu asks a bunch of questions, tries to enter the mansion, stuff like that. Tanjiro lets him in, but he also explains to him that there were demons and stuff like that. And, well, after all that is said and done, Zenitsu's like, well, we should get going then, right? Like, do you have a place to go? Like, is this your home, or what's going on? In which he's like, no, it's not my home. I just cleaned it out, for the, the demons, stuff like that. And then he also says like, oh, well, I can't leave just yet. In which he's like, well, why can't you? Like, well, why can't you leave? In which he's like, I just can't leave. I can't leave yet. And obviously Zenitsu is a fellow demon slayer, but Tanjiro is very, very hesitant. Like, he's like, I don't know if I should tell this person why I can't really leave. And he says, well, I normally wait till the nighttime to actually get stuff done, right? So I'm going to wait, blah, blah, blah. And that's what he does. He decides to wait. And as he's waiting, they actually do get interrupted as well by Inosuke, a boar-headed kid that comes out of nowhere. But on top of that, they kind of shut him down, or Tanjiro does, by being just better than him, stronger than him, stuff like that. So when the nighttime comes, they all three leave together. And they would eventually meet up at some sort of like mansion, like house. And after all that is like said and done, they kind of get, welled up by an older woman. She helps them out, like, feed them, clothe them, stuff like that. Tanjiro doesn't have to sleep. That's the only thing. So he's kind of just laying there waiting. And he ends up deciding like, oh, I'm going to try to sneak out and leave early so I can leave during the nighttime. But they actually catch him. and basically decide, okay, yeah, we'll leave together right here and right now. And they end up heading up to basically this mountain, Mount Notogumo, to basically find out what's going on with the Demon Slayers. But they do start questioning, like, what is up with Tanjiro? Why does he act this way? What's going on? Like, why does he, why is he so mysterious? Like, this is weird, especially because it's not like we're being weird or being bad or being disrespectful. Nothing. Like, it's so odd that he's hiding so many secrets. But before you know it, they would eventually learn of what his secret's all about. Because yes, they do slay demons throughout this entire time. They do defeat so many of these random demons involving this like spider family or whatever. And Tanjiro helps defeat legitimately all of them, leading them to actually facing off with Rui, kind of like in a team like effort. And as this fight is continuing, there is a massive advantage on their side. Not only is Tanjiro a vampire, but on top of that is like 3 or 4v1 technically with Nezuko. And they are beating him like pretty easily, in fact. And Tanjiro is like helping out where he can. But as Rui goes to use his blood demon art, he actually catches Zenitsu out to the point where Zenitsu could genuinely get hurt here. So Tanjiro looks to actually help him as quick as possible. So what does he do? What does he decide to do? Well, he decides to legitimately put a portal underneath him, or swamp-like portal, and save Zenitsu from harm, and then pop him out the other direction or the other way. And in turn, it did save him and give them an opening to defeat the one of the 12 Kizuki members, but also, legitimately defeat, Rui. Just that's who it is, right? Rui. And at the end of the day, well, Zenitsu has a ton of questions. What the hell just happened? What's going on? But it seems like his questions would be answered very quickly, because before you know it, they would hear the crows cawing, and they would be saying that Tanjiro Kamado and Nezuko need to head to the Butterfly Mansion as soon as possible. And and another thing is said, and is to stay clear of both of them, because, well, one is a demon and the other is suspected to be one as well, in which this would shock Zenitsu and Inosuke, and they would back away and pull out their swords, and they would ask him, was this all a long game, a long con to kill them, to end them? Tanjiro puts his hands up and he tells them, look, I don't want to fight. I'm not here to fight. I'm not here to do anything, right? I'm just here to help, to cure my sister. I just want my sister to be human again. In which Zenitsu and Inosuke's jaws would drop for a moment and would think, wow, this is insane. I mean, yes, they did have their assumptions like what was going on or whatever. And honestly, Nezuko being a demon, that's not even the most far-fetched thing that they've seen, right? They've heard of, because he was so odd throughout this entire time. It's really the fact that he's not like that. Tanjiro is a demon as well, so different than anything else. But soon they'll learn and realize that when Tanjiro and Nezuko get over there, that yes, Nezuko is a demon, but Tanjiro would eventually and would have to tell them that he is a vampire, in which that would shock them at an insane amount, and a conversation would be heard to decide what they should do with Tanjiro and Nezuko, and if they should truly be allowed to continue being a demon slayer, or truly allowed really to keep on living. But with that said, that is where we're going to end part 1 of 2 of What If Tanjiro Was a Vampire, or part 1. Obviously, part 2 of 2 ideally will be out tomorrow. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And yeah, that's really all I got to say. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.